Hey y'all, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at my Goodreads statistics for the books that I've read. On Goodreads you can sort your shelves by a lot of different statistics of each book, and today we're going to be looking at all the books that I've read and the highest and lowest of those books. So this is not the same as reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR. I will be doing that video at some point, but this is just about the books that I've already read. Right now I'm in my reads shelf on Goodreads. So all of these titles at the top, if you click on them, they'll sort the shelf by that category. The first one we can look at is number of pages. I just clicked it once and it's showing the biggest number of pages at the top. So this is the longest book I've ever read. It's Kingdom of Ash. I just finished it like last week, and this book, I really liked it. It's the last book in the Throne of Glass series, and because the series is so long, I feel like it makes sense that the last book is really long. But it actually flew by because I knew the characters really well and I was so invested in every chapter. Then we have some Harry Potter books and another Throne of Glass book. Okay, so here are the shortest books that I've ever read. These first four are novellas, or like supplementary content to series. The shortest actual book I've ever read is Looking for Alaska by John Green. I don't remember it being that short, 221 pages, but I read it a while ago. So now we're gonna look at the average rating. So the highest rated book that I've ever read is also the longest book that I've ever read, which is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas in the Throne of Glass series. It's a lot of rhyming. But I feel like it makes sense that this is really highly rated, because if you get to the point where you read this book, you probably really like the characters and you probably really like this series and the writing and all of that stuff. And also I feel like the last book in every series is usually well liked because of the exciting action. And we also have some Harry Potter books on here. I'm gonna scroll until I see one that's the first in a series besides Harry Potter, or standalone. So Redeeming Love is the top rated standalone on my read shelf. I would agree with that. I think she's a really good storyteller, and this book is so good. It is based on the character in the Bible, Hosea. God tells him that he is destined to marry a prostitute, and it just goes through their whole story, and it's really beautiful, and I loved it. The lowest rated book on my read shelf is Never Always Sometimes. I still have this book on my shelf. I read it when I was in high school, I think, and I don't really remember it that much. And then the next one is the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which I kind of agree with. I gave it a 3. Did not live up to the hype of it being like a sequel type of thing to the Harry Potter series. The next book that is the lowest rated is The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. I read this when I was in freshman year of college and I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. It might have been just that I forgot how much I loved reading, and when I read this book, it flew by. And then we have An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. I also gave that book 5 stars, so I don't really agree with it being rated that low. I really like this story. These two best friends like go on a road trip, and the main character kind of has like a coming of age character arc, and I love John Green, so it was just really fun. Okay, I had to add to some of the categories that I'm used to seeing like on my phone, but okay, the next one we're gonna look at is the number of ratings. So the most read and rated book on Goodreads that I have read is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That makes sense. And then we have some other super popular books: Hunger Games, Twilight, The Fault in Our Stars. So now we're gonna look at the least popular or least amount of ratings books that I have read. So this one is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This just came out a couple of weeks ago, so it makes sense that there's not that many ratings. I really enjoyed this book. It is in the same series as When in Rome, set in Rome, Kentucky, and it's about Noah, the main male character from When in Rome, his little sister, Annie and Amelia's Bodyguard. Then we have Earthbound. I found this book at a library sale in a small mountain town, and I've never seen it anywhere since then. I read it and I rated it 3 stars. I still have it on my shelf, but it's fine. Then we have Empress of All Seasons. I found this at Barnes & Noble once, and I took a picture of it because I wanted to read it, and then I found it at my library, and I rated it 3 stars as well. And then we have An Improbable Theory of Anna and Zach, and I think I randomly found this at Barnes & Noble as well, and I also have never seen it anywhere since I found it and read it, so it makes sense that there's not that many ratings. Now we're gonna look at the oldest published book that I've ever read and the newest published books that I've ever read. It looks like Redeeming Love was published in 1991. I didn't actually know that, so that's cool. And then Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was published in 1997, and some other Harry Potter books as well. I didn't realize that Fantastic Beasts was published in 2001. I thought that was more recently that it was published. I guess because of the movies. So the most recently published book that I've ever read is Practice Makes Perfect. This came out on May 2nd, like a week ago. I went to Barnes & Noble on May 2nd to buy this book because I had just finished When in Rome the week before and read it as fast as I could. Then we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This came out in November of 2022. And I like this one. I gave it 4 stars. Then we have The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. That one is the 3rd book in the Deadly Education series, and it came out in September of 2022. When in Rome also came out in September. Now we're going to look at the books that I added when I first got my book Goodreads, and the ones that I've added most recently. So the first one I added when I got my Goodreads is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I was obsessed with Harry Potter when I was younger, so it makes sense that that's the first book that I would look up when I first signed up for Goodreads. Then we have Aragon. I read this a few times and I still have it on my shelf. It's really good. It's a fantasy about a dragon rider and I liked it. Then we have Twilight. The book that I added most recently, this isn't the book that I read most recently, but it's added and then read most recently, is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This one wasn't on my TBR when I read it. I just found the audiobook of it when I was bored and looking for something to listen to, and I actually really enjoyed this. It was my first thriller. I gave this one 4 stars. This one is about 6 people who are all going to this wedding. It follows the events leading up to the wedding, but it also flashes forward to the wedding where something spooky is happening, and there's a lot of juicy secrets that all these characters have, and it was pretty good. It definitely kept me interested. Then I most recently added the 2 books in the Remnant Chronicles. I added these recently because I don't usually add the sequels in series until I've read the first book and I know that I want to read it. But I read the Remnant Chronicles pretty quickly so that I could read it before Dance of Thieves. I also recently added these Sarah Adams books, and I think it's because I follow her on Instagram and I saw her posting a lot of the aesthetics of these books, and it convinced me to read it very soon. So that's why I added them and read them very quickly. That's all the ratings that there are to look at on here, at least the interesting ones. If you liked this video, then please consider subscribing. I'm trying to post every Wednesday, and leave a like and comment what your top rated book that you've read is.